Good morning this morning. Welcome to a What is the Trap Game on the 2025 schedule for Ohio State edition of the OHIO podcast. Do us a big favor if you don't mind. Smash that like button. And if you're not already, please consider being subscribed to this channel. It's absolutely free, costs you nothing. It absolutely does help us. At any point during this video, if anything strikes your fancy, put a comment down in the comment section below. That also helps that ambiguous YouTube algorithm that seems to fight against us content creators on a daily basis. But I digress. You're here, and we're thankful you're here. And if you do those things, by all means, that will help us out greatly, and we appreciate that very, very much. All right. So last night on last night's live show, myself, my co-host Chris the Wildman Wilds, and the man known as Mello out there on in Buckeye Nation world, co-host for Devin there over in the Buckeye Boys, former co-host here at the OHIO podcast. He was our special guest last night, and I posed that question to him: what's the trap game on this schedule? So for this video, we're going to dive into that. Now we gave there's two games that we gave on the schedule that we kind of both circled as being trap games. Chris and Mello differed than my opinion, but we'll see what you all think here. But before we dive into the schedule, we try to find where the trap game actually is. Let let me try to define what a trap game is, because you won't find a definition like you won't find a perfect definition out there. So a lot of different ideas of what a trap game is. So here is what I believe a trap game is. It's a game that you're going to be heavily favored in. Okay, you're going to be expected to win, and either you're coming off a big win or a game against a competitive opponent who could beat you, or the next game you play is a huge game and you might get caught looking ahead. So either it's a letdown game or a look ahead game, and it also constitutes a game where you're expected to win easily. Makes sense? So if we take that definition, I believe there are two games on this roster that you could circle and say that appears to be a trap game. The first one is on October 18th at Wisconsin. Wisconsin has not played very well the first 2 years under Luke Fickell. There's a lot of people who believe that Wisconsin's not going to be a very good football team again this year. Luke Fickell might be on the hot seat. Um, Plus, it's the second road game in a row in conference that you're playing. October 11th, you go to Illinois. That is not going to be an easy football game. In fact, there are some experts who believe Illinois is going to kind of be the Indiana of the Big Ten this year, meaning they might be the fourth team that can sneak into the college football playoff. If Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State are the big three who everybody is kind of expecting, given their roster, talent, etc., to make it back to the college football playoff again, then many believe that Illinois might be that fourth team that can sneak in. They're coming off a big bowl win against South Carolina. They seem to this year kind of overachieve a little bit, given the fact that they had lost some, and they've got a lot of talent coming back in 2025. Plus, that's a home game, so that's going to be a game where, if you're not careful, you can go in this Champaign and they could beat you possibly. So so having that, let's hypothetically say Ohio State wins that football game in a close contest, to then have to turn around 7 days later, go on the road again in another hostile environment against a team that might have a coach that feels like he's backs against the corner, and the whole jump around mystique. That one to me is a possible trap game. The other one is on November 22nd. It's senior day in the shoe against the pesky Scarlet Knights of Rutgers right before the big one on November 29th in Ann Arbor against the Skunk Weasels. So, Rutgers, obviously, under Greg Schiano, he's turned that program around. They're about a 500 team every year now, or a little bit better. And he's been recruiting the New Jersey area fantastically well, building that talent. They beat Miami in a bowl game a couple years ago. Rutgers is legit. They're a legit program. They might even be better than Wisconsin this season. So take that into account as well. And of course, that is a classic look ahead game. That is where traditionally we've been playing Maryland back when we had divisions. And Maryland always gave us one heck of a football game, it seemed like. And it was because we were caught looking ahead more times than not to the big one at the end of the season. So if that is the classic look ahead game against a team who you should beat because you're better than, but they're a pretty good football team, then that is also a possible trap game for the Buckeyes when you look at this schedule. Looking at other games, I don't believe UCLA will be a trap game because it's the first time the West Coast UCLA team's coming into the shoe for the first time in a very, very long time. First time as a member of the Big Ten. There'll be some excitement about that. Buckeye fans wanting to see the powder blue and gold of UCLA in the shoe. At Purdue, one might make the argument that we don't play well in West Lafayette. That's no longer the case. The last couple times we've played Purdue, we have absolutely blitzkrieged them. They're a bad football team. They might be the worst football team in the Big Ten this year. They have a new coach. We go in the West Lafayette. It's going to be Ohio State West. I don't think that's going to be a trap game. Minnesota. Minnesota is interesting because Minnesota's played pretty well under PJ Fleck. He's got them about anywhere from 6 to 8 or 9 wins every season. They're a solid football team. They're very similar to Iowa in that they don't make a ton of mistakes. They play at a close contest, it seems like. But when they go up against some better talent, there is the possibility that they can't hang. And it's still early enough in the season. I just don't feel like Minnesota feels like a trap game. I feel like we'll be ready for that one. How about the week before on September 27th when we go out west? It's our West Coast game this year. It's at Washington. Dude, that place is a tough place to play. Seattle's no joke, man. You've got to go in there and you've got to have your A game. I don't think the boys are going to be looking at that one coming off a bye and going, we're looking ahead to Minnesota here. You know what I'm saying? Coming off a bye scares me a little bit. Ohio State didn't do well coming off byes last year, so there is that aspect to it. So, but I still don't see it as a true trap game. I see that football game as more of like an exciting game early in the season, kicking off the Big Ten. Ohio State's going to be 3-0, 2-1, one of those two more than likely, and the boys are going to be ready to get their first Big Ten win against a pesky Husky team that will be ready for the Buckeyes. So I don't think that they're going to be looking ahead. You're not coming off a big game against Ohio 2 weeks before. You are coming off the bye, but it's not necessarily a game where you're coming off of a looking for a letdown. So I don't really see that as a trap game. Ohio, Grambling State, no, just no, they're not. Texas is too big of a team to be considered a trap game. Same with Penn State. Those games are too big to be considered trap games. Those are the two big ones on the season that everybody's got highlighted and looking at outside the one on November 29th in Ann Arbor. And of course, the game is never a trap game because it's the game. So it's coming down to Wisconsin or Rutgers. What do you think? If you had to pick one, which one of those two is the trap game on this schedule? If there's only one trap game, it's got to be one of those two, right? Which one is it? Let me know in the comment section below what you think the trap game is on this schedule, and I'd love to hear from you. All of this talk about the trap game reminds me of one of my favorite verses, Hebrews 11:6. But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. We all have a measure of faith, and we need sometimes to act upon that faith. And when we do that, if we're seeking after the goodness of God, that faith is a powerful thing. So, and just like Ohio State's going to have faith in their coaches, the players are going to have faith in the coaches to put them in the right situations, the right play calls, all of those things throughout the course of 2025 season. They'll also have to have faith that even though Wisconsin and or Rutgers might be the trap game, they're going to come out victorious because of their belief in one another, their belief in the coaches, and they've just got more talent, and they're just a better football team. Again, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Let me know in the comment section below, who do you think the trap game is? Love to hear from you all. Have a great day, everybody. Go Bucks.